What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 456 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and this is the Hot Tags of the Week, where I'm going to be breaking down just some of the current events and rumors and the news and the gossip and the scuttlebutt and all the hearsay and a bunch of different things that have gone down in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days since we've last done the Hot Tags that I feel like talking about this week. You know, on the good side, on the bad side, in the middle, the whole big spectrum that's going on here. I invite you to do the same thing in the comments below and tell me what you think of these topics. And if you are listening to this podcast on some kind of a platform that does not have a comment section, or is one that I don't really even check, let's be honest, then, hop on over to one of the ones that does. So that means if you are on, say, Spotify, or you are on Stitcher, or Apple Podcasts, or something, they don't have a comments section. So, give us a follow, give us a like, a star rating, thumbs up, whatever they have on those different platforms. That helps out quite a bit. And go to something like the facebook.com/smarkoutmoment, or send a tweet at smarkoutmoment, or, obviously follow those accounts. Or you can go to the page on smarkoutmoment.com that has the hot tags up here to leave a comment and tell me your thoughts about what these topics are all about. Or that you could do the thing that's the best out of all of them, which is to go to the actual video itself on YouTube. And while you're over there on YouTube, of course, hit that subscribe button if you have not done that already and you're brand new to the channel, or you just have been sticking around and not doing that. Subscribe. That'd be great if you did that. Ring the little notification bell as well, so that way you can be aware of when new videos get posted and when we go live for certain things. And then there's also the like button. That helps out a lot. Boosts us on the search algorithms and whatever else is behind the scenes when it comes to YouTube. Now we also have the applause little button that's on there right next to the like button. That is something on the monetary side of things, and I might as well get this plug out of the way while I'm at it. If you do want to help out with the stuff that's in our wallets, and by giving us some of the spare change that you've got to show your support and to help us grow, then the applause button's not the only way to do that. It is something, so it's out there in case you want it. But you can also hit join and become one of the members of the YouTube channel. And that basically acts like the same thing as the Patreon. So if you don't want to take advantage of that, but you want to be a part of the Patreon instead, patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. If you become a patron for even $1, it's great, especially the more and more people do that, because I would much, much rather have a lot of people donate a little bit of money than a few people donate a lot. You know what I mean? I've adopted that philosophy a long, long time ago, that if everybody lifts with one hand, then nobody has to lift with both hands, or, a lot of other parallels when it comes to that kind of stuff. But essentially, if you do want to be a part of this and you do want to help us grow, then there's the $1 tier, there's the $5 tier, which acts as essentially an ad block forgiveness type of thing. Also, you get your name on the Smarks Club on the website. There is the $10 Darkcast tier, where that and everything above that gives you access to the Patreon exclusive episodes. We've had plenty of those recently. And then there's the Mailbag Priority, and there's also the Pick Your Poison tier, where you can request something that you want us to do as a special extra video that goes along with our normal schedule. So yeah, take advantage of that if you can. And any support that you toss our way is greatly, greatly appreciated. I cannot stress that enough, even if it's, $1. And while I'm at it, we're already 4 minutes into this and I'm just doing plugs. Merchandise shops are out there as well. If you want to pick up a t-shirt or some stickers or a mug or any of the different types of products that they've got out there. If you go to Redbubble or TeePublic, there are shops for Smark Out Moment, as well as Fanboys Anonymous and A Mango Tees. And whatever I get out of the cost of those things that comes my way is pretty much directly funded back into trying to do more for these sites. These are my babies. So I really try to put as much time and effort into these. I'd love to be able to do more. So the more support that I've got from you guys in any fashion it is, whether it's just even liking the videos or watching them or whatever it might be, clicking on the articles, whatever, I don't know. Anything you guys do to help this stuff grow is awesome. So what is this stuff? We've been talking for 5 minutes and it's not been anything but plugs. Let's get into the hot tags here. Let's talk about this this situation now with the Bella twins, they have named their kids. They've had their sons, and obviously that's great in more ways than one. Congrats to the couples for those. But they've now revealed the names of their children. And Nikki Bella, her son is Mateo. And I don't want to butcher the other parts of the names, but pretty normal name. I mean, Artem is her significant other, so it's kind of like, playing off of his name and stuff. And hey, you know what? Really cool. But Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, they decided to name their son Buddy Dessert. um, I don't get it. I really don't. And I know full well, speaking from somebody who has the surname Mango, that it's weird to have a weird name. But, this whole celebrity thing, it's not even a celebrity thing anymore, because nowadays I come across people all the time that have weird names and stuff. I have always and will always have the philosophy that you should not name your kid something that's weird. And if the kid wants to go by a different name in the future that's weird, then it's on them. They can have all the rights in the world to change their name to whatever they want to when they're an adult. And if they don't have the ability to do that, and, they're teenagers and they want to go by a different name or something like that, they can go by a nickname. But when you saddle them with a name that's your name, that whatever, Apple Paltrow and was a Moxie Crime Fighter or something, and all these names are just like, why would you do that to the poor kid? Like Buddy Dessert, and actually it's supposed to be pronounced Desert. So then why didn't you spell it Desert? The word's out there. That's actually what that's it's pronounced the one thing, but we spell it like the other thing. Okay, well, my name is spelled Anthony, and it's pronounced Charles? No, it's Anthony, it's whatever it is. Like, I don't get that type of philosophy. I don't understand the idea of we named our kid this thing backwards, or we named our kid this thing, but we spelled it differently because aren't we different? No, don't do it. So I hope for the sake of Buddy, I never really liked the name Buddy to begin with. Sorry, Buddy Murphy. But that to me, it's, that's more like, hey, buddy, what's up? What's up, pal? It's not a name. Sorry to anybody that's out there named Buddy. But if you go by a nickname of Buddy, that's cool. But if your real name is Buddy, it's just so strange to me. I don't get it at all. I don't know. Maybe you're a big fan of it. If you are, drop a comment below and tell me why I'm wrong with my opinion. I don't know what the case is, but yeah, congrats on the couple at the very least. Birdie Joe and Buddy Dessert. It's a thing. Let's shift over to the PWI 500. We now know the top, however many that we know. I actually haven't looked at the full list or anything at this point quite yet, but the main story is, of course, who is on top. And every year, everybody does their whole, this is who should be the top, and this, that person shouldn't have been ranked higher than this person, and that kind of thing. That's not my type of game, mostly because I fully admit I would not be the go-to authority for a lot of these kind of things because I don't watch anything other than WWE and AEW, so I can't talk about how Okada should be placed, or this person in MLW, or this person in ICW, or just name a promotion. I haven't seen any Ring of Honor stuff in years. I don't watch Impact, so I can't be like, these are the 500 that I would pick. It wouldn't be fair. However, I would say that Jon Moxley being number one, I wouldn't rank him number one. I feel like some of the other people that are on this list have given me more to go by, and of course the rankings that they go with are their just quality of their matches, the stuff that they've been involved in. If they've been obviously really important, then they go higher up on the list than if they haven't done a damn thing. Their overall success rate, so their wins and losses, and if they won championships or not, and that kind of thing. Those factors, a little bit of kayfabe stuff as well as just regular non-kayfabe stuff, and I still, on all fronts, don't think that I'd go Jon Moxley. I think that Jericho and Orange Cassidy have had a better feud over the past little bit of time. I've enjoyed Cody Rhodes more in ring than Jon Moxley. I think that Drew McIntyre is overall a better champion than what Jon Moxley has been. I see on this list Adam Cole's number 2. Adam Cole, I think, is much more reliable to put on a great match than Jon Moxley is. Not that Moxley's bad, because he certainly isn't, but I don't think that he's number 1. I don't think I'd go Seth Rollins number 8 either, that's for sure. I feel like this whole year he's been kind of just limping along with this character. I think that Kofi Kingston being number 9 is maybe a little bit high. It kind of depends on how far back they go. But, last year he had a great, great rise. And maybe that's factored in there. I don't remember entirely for sure what he was about like last year. But last year was his year. This year, not so much. Lesnar's on there, Omega's on there, Reigns is on there. A lot of these names that you would expect, Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman and Kota Ibushi and whatever. I couldn't tell you where anybody in particular would fall on my list, and I know that everybody has their different opinions, so I'm curious, where would you put certain people on here? Do you think that Jon Moxley should be number 1? Do you think that he's more of like a number 10? Is he some number 50 type of thing? I wouldn't go that far, but you know what I mean? Are you all over the place here, or are you thinking that PWI got it right, essentially? Curious. Drop a comment. Let's move on to another topic here. Bullet Bob Armstrong passed away. Unfortunately, that is just one of those things that happens. Chadwick Boseman, by the way, passed away as well. I just got that information not that long before recording this, and man, tell you, 2020 just keeps on coming. It's relentless. So, RIP, of course, to both, while I'm at it, to both, the Chadwick Boseman, even though it's Fanboys Anonymous related material, not Smark Out Moment stuff, to that family, to the Armstrong family, there's nothing really other to say than to send condolences and stuff. That's a shame. But it's a news story, so it's something to talk about, at least very quickly, so people know that that's the case. I just mentioned Fanboys Anonymous, so if you don't know what that is the site where I would be talking about everything that's not related to pro wrestling. That's on the geek culture spectrum, movies and TV shows and comic books and video games and all sorts of different things like that. So I will have a note about Chadwick Boseman on the Week in Geek for this week, and I always want to do more for Fanboys Anonymous, so if you want more and you want to have like Week in Geek be some weekly hot tags type of podcast, or if you want more fan tracks, or if you want more editorials, especially because I have so many on the back burner, like I count at least 30 articles that I just never get the time to write, and I would love to do more of those. So show more love to fanboysanonymous.com. Follow that place all over the place, the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, that kind of stuff. Just keep, showing support. Hit up the Patreon, buy some merch. Let's move over to the WWE Thunderdome trolling. People have done the things that we were expecting them to do. As soon as they announced that this is going to be the case, we were talking about how it was guaranteed people would put some stuff up on there that they shouldn't. They would flash the camera, they would... whatever it might be. And so far, we've seen somebody hold up a Fire Velveteen Dream sign, which that's not admittedly as bad as some of the other things. There's been a Chris Benoit picture. There's the KKK. There's an ISIS video of a beheading. Look, I understand trolling can be fun sometimes. I've done my fair share of some harmless trolling, some teasing, like different things like that. I think everybody at some point in their lives, they either do something that's kind of on the I'm being a jerk side of things in some fashion, or they at the very least laugh at it. But there are different levels. It's one thing to playfully tease, it's another thing to bully. There's a difference between poking the bear and stabbing it. There's another thing between protesting and causing a riot. There's so many different discussions we can get into with just ethics and just, the difference between throwing a thing of paper, toilet paper on mischief night or throwing a Molotov cocktail. You know what I mean? I think that the people that did this are pretty sad. And I'm sure that the people that are listening to this podcast are not the ones that need to be spoken to about the idea of trolling in these kind of ways. I'm sure you guys are all fine. I don't know. Maybe there's someone out there at the very least that's like, fuck this. I think that I should be doing that kind of thing. Don't, basically just don't. Uh, it's not serving any purpose. It's not making WWE worse. It's not teaching them to tell better stories. It's not getting you any fame. It's not getting you any money for that matter, too. I mean, the pride of this whole thing is just the main thing driving people. It's just, haha, look what I did. It's funny. Nobody knows who is doing that. So you're not getting any notoriety for it either. It's never like, this was Cool Man 78 who posted that thing of Benoit. Let's follow his Twitter. No, that's not happening. So you're doing it to get your rocks off by yourself, which is pretty sad. And you're just causing some annoyances and some pain to some people and making the world worse. And, the 2020 and the world in general is just so bad as it is. Let's stop trying to make it worse for each other. I get if you're making it worse because you're trying to benefit yourself. You're trying to look out for yourself and somebody has to take the hit so you don't. I understand that, but that's not happening here. This is just people being jerks. Knock it off. Don't do these things. If WWE keeps having this kind of stuff happen, they're going to end up looking for alternatives. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to boost up that crappy pre-taped audio that they've got blaring on every single episode now, and they're just going to replace the Thunderdome with cardboard cutouts of people, or they're going to replace it with people that they know for a fact that they can just tell, you do this and you do that, and that's not going to be a better experience. We need to make this a better experience, not hinder it even more. So if you're thinking about doing that with the Thunderdome, don't do things that are really awful. If you're thinking about trolling, I don't know, do something like wear an AEW is better than WWE shirt or something like that. Different levels, people. Go with go with level C material. Don't go with level A+ of just burn it all down type of stuff. What else we got going on here? We've got some TV show stuff we got to talk about. We got some pay-per-view stuff as well, so we're going to kind of lump this in, I guess, a little bit all together here. One of them being that we know Clash of Champions was supposed to have taken place September 20th this year, and it seems like they're pushing that back one more week. September 27th is now the operating time that they're going to be going with that pay-per-view. No 100% confirmation about this from WWE, but it does seem like that's the case. We're more than likely not going to get any more information about that until after Payback. So once we get to Monday Night Raw for next week, then maybe we'll start getting some advertisement stuff for Clash of Champions. But it seems like that's the case. And you know what? I'm not opposed to it. I think that WWE has had too many pay-per-views one after another. And if we can get a little bit more of a break, then over these next few weeks, they can set up the challengers for all those championships. I'm assuming, of course, that all the titles are on the line. And then we can maybe have a better pay-per-view than if they were to just rush this and do 3 weeks for it. So I don't mind that at all. Kind of adjusts my schedule a little bit here and there. Makes that a little bit harder, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it's going to be the better decision. And we do have to talk about the updates to, not many updates, but the 2 updates to the Payback card. But to do that and to talk about a couple of the other topics that are going on here, I'm just going to run through the TV stuff that have gone down for this week. And then that's going to kind of inform the way that we go about for some of these other things. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about main event or, 205 Live or Dark because those things, ultimately, nothing really to talk about there. But let's talk about Dynamite. Let's talk about Raw and NXT and SmackDown. And I guess let's just kind of get the ball rolling here and talk about Dynamite because that's the first one to just sort of get out of the way. It's different than following through with all the WWE stuff. We've got some more additions to the card for All Out. Next week, of course, we're going to be doing our predictions and our post show for that, because that's following the new pay-per-view point schedule there. So I won't really go deep into discussion about, hey, this happened, whatever like that. But we got Hangman Adam Page is no longer a part of the Elite. Seems like they're building a little bit more towards that whole Four Horsemen idea with him and FTR, and Kenny Omega being more on the Young Bucks side of things and stuff. FTR, they have a title shot now. Lance Archer beat Sean Maluda, which Sean Maluda, I don't know why WWE has not signed him yet. He's been perpetually just hanging around WWE for years now. Seems like they would have just, given him the contract by now. That's a little bit surprising to me. Also surprising that we're not going to get Darby Allin against either Ricky Starks or Brian Cage, because both of the Team Taz members and Darby Allin are going to be in the 21-man Casino Battle Royale, along with Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, The Blade, and the Lucha Bros. We also have, they beat, of course, Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, Griff Garrison, and Brian Pillman Jr. We're going to get Dark Order in an 8-man tag. Not really digging that whole segment. They did a whole thing with Cody and like a symbolic burial. It was a thing. It wasn't anything all that special. Tay Conchi is now on the side of Dark Order. That's kind of interesting. I don't think that they've fully announced that she's a part of the AEW roster, but this would pretty much indicate that that's the case. Big Swole beat Britt Baker, Penelope Ford, and Reba in a 3-on-1 handicap match. Seems like we're getting Swole versus Baker for sure at this point, even though it's not 100% guaranteed for All Out. They had a tables match between Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. I don't know why that wasn't on the All Out card. Kind of curious about that. And I think that's kind of it from that side. So it was a pretty eventful episode of Dynamite. Not necessarily my favorite, but I was glad to be able to watch it separately on Thursday. I don't like the idea that every day this of the week is something, but it's hard to watch Dynamite on the same night as NXT. And I typically watch NXT that I'm so tired of doing all the coverage and everything that I skip through a lot of Dynamite. And for this, I didn't have to. So I enjoyed this episode more than I've been enjoying a lot of them. I like that quite a bit. Let's go to Monday Night Raw. Click around here, get that up on my screen. Monday Night Raw, we had some things with Keith Lee making his debut on the main roster. Pretty interesting. We talked about this a little bit before with the predictions for Payback, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but Keith Lee needs that old theme back, and he needs to stop wearing that shirt and skirt combo thing. Baszler beat Bailey by DQ. We're going to get Baszler and Nia Jax for the tag team titles at Payback. We already talked about that. Quite a bit we actually already talked about. There's not much on Raw, I think, that we didn't already refer to. Aleister Black and Kevin Owens. We talked about Street Profits. Yeah, I think, you know what? I think that there's everything that we talked about is in some fashion something that we talked about already. So I'm just going to skip around and move on to NXT, because NXT has quite a bit. Wade Barrett came back for commentary, and I'm a huge fan of Wade Barrett. I've always liked Wade Barrett a lot. I think that he should have been a world champion. I think he should have fought Undertaker at WrestleMania one of the times that Triple H was fighting him instead. For that matter, I think that Sheamus should have fought Undertaker at WrestleMania too, but you can't get everything that you want. That's even when in an era when I didn't really like Sheamus. So even back then I was like, go with Sheamus. It makes more sense. But yeah, I really liked Wade Barrett on commentary, and he seemed to indicate that he was going to be returning again next week, and I think that they actually might have put him up on the website as part of either like the alumni or just a part of the crew or something like that. If Wade is signed, that's great. Big fan of this dude. I mentioned before, I like when you can take somebody who is no longer wrestling and you can put them in those kind of roles. As long as they're doing a job, of course, as well as they should, it makes it more special. And another person, for that matter, that I would like to see in some capacity like this, bring in Ken Kennedy and make him a ring announcer. I think he's got the pipes for it. So go ahead and do it. If he's interested, of course, and if WWE would be interested. I think that would be a huge, fun thing to watch. And Wade Barrett on commentary, I'm digging it. I don't want him to be Mauro Ranallo's permanent replacement or anything by any means, but I do really like Wade Barrett on commentary. I don't know where he would fit. I'm thinking maybe he might fit as a color commentator on Raw the best. That might be a means to get. I mean, it kind of depends on your lineup. I think you've got an option with Wade Barrett for a lot of things. So ultimately, it's a thumbs up for me. I enjoyed him. I'm hoping that I get to enjoy him further on in the future. Breezango won the NXT Tag Team titles from Imperium. Very shocked about that. Did not see that one coming whatsoever. They had their match to become the number one contenders at TakeOver 30, so we talked about that before, and we kind of carried along with that idea of, wow, okay, maybe they're actually going to get like this shot at the belts and stuff, and I didn't think that was going to be the case. I thought that they were just going to lose, and that would be the end of it, but Imperium losing, I think, might be partially at least responsible from the return of NXT UK in September. Maybe they wanted to get those belts off of them so that they could be a part of the tag team division over at NXT UK. It's kind of weird because I don't know if they're going to be able to travel. I think that they're in the United States, Bartel and Eichner. If they are, can't really travel to NXT UK over in the UK. But maybe they can. I don't know. There's something weird about that whole setup. So I guess we're going to just have to find out. And at the very least, I'm a huge fan of Breezango. I've always liked Tyler Breeze. I've always liked Fandango. Well, I can't say I've always liked. When he was Johnny Curtis, I was like, I don't know if there's really too much to go with this guy. When he started doing the puns, I liked him a lot better, of course. But I think that this is great. I love the idea that these guys are finally champions. They finally won some title in WWE because they're on my list of just why haven't they ever won a single championship? No tag titles, no Intercontinental title, nothing like that. Not even the 24/7 title, which is so crazy to me. But they did it. They won. That's cool. I like that a lot. Tommaso Ciampa returned, and he turned heel, beat the shit out of Jake Atlas. Pretty interesting. I don't know why they're turning him a heel, but I like it. Now, there's a big disparity between the heels and the baby faces on the NXT roster right now, and I think that's a little bit of a mistake. I don't think that they have enough baby faces to really sustain this roster right now, but Ciampa is better as a heel than he is as a babyface. Ultimately, I think it's the right decision. It's just going to take a little bit of time for them to balance out everything. Austin Theory's back in NXT. I don't know if I like it or I dislike it. I like that he came up to the main roster very quickly, but I do understand why they would potentially move him back down. And, he is young. He could use more seasoning. It's something you don't have to rush him at this point. And maybe they decided that there wasn't as good of a fit for him as part of the disciple thing. I liked him in that role to a certain extent, but then again, I haven't been liking this whole greater good thing for a little while anyway, so I don't mind him being taken away from that. He was kind of talking some trash with Bronson Reed. Reed seems like he's going to start a feud with him. There's a chance that Timothy Thatcher starts fighting Damian Priest going forward. I'm totally up for that as well. What else we got going on? Shotzi Blackheart beat Mia Yim after running over Robert Stone for the fourth time, something like that. Seems like some people are reporting that this is the swan song for Mia Yim. It didn't feel like that to me. If it is, though, and if she goes up to the main roster, that's cool. I think that Mia Yim deserves to be on the main roster at this point. Shotzi's awesome. Big fan of Shotzi. Robert Stone's great. Mercedes Martinez interfered later on and helped Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez beat Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai. That was kind of just one of those matches. I mean, there's not really super duper all that much to talk about here with that. Some people are reporting that they think that the Undisputed Era is going to have some kind of a split where Kyle O'Reilly is going to be turning babyface. I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the case, but he had a match with Drake Maverick, and afterward they did a whole thing where the Undisputed Era were attacking him, and Killian Dane came out to help, but then Killian Dane just knocked down Drake Maverick anyway, so maybe we get a Killian Dane babyface turn, maybe we don't, maybe Kyle O'Reilly does split, maybe that's just nothing, I don't know. Santos Escobar retained the NXT Cruiserweight Championship over Isaiah Swerve Scott by pinfall when he used a seemingly loaded luchador mask. I thought that was very, very cool. Go back and check that out, everybody. And the big news from NXT is that Karrion Kross relinquished the NXT Championship. He has that separated shoulder. He's going to be out for an indeterminate amount of time, and that means that he's not going to be able to defend that. So instead, what we're going to do here, or what we're going to do, like we have any influence, what WWE is going to do is next week, we are not having NXT on Wednesday. We're having it on Tuesday. So they're dubbing it Super Tuesday. And to try to make sure that people watch that, they've got a six-man street fight, which that I don't think it's going to be like the biggest draw in the world, but it's Breezango and Scott against Legado del Fantasma. And then there's a fatal four-way 60-minute Iron Man match to crown a new NXT champion. The four participants are Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. All four of them could win. All four of them are people who have proven themselves to be solid quality champions. They're all great in their own ways. And they're all heels to a certain extent. Finn Balor's more of a babyface at this point, but he is still kind of heelish. Adam Cole's still pretty much a heel. Johnny Gargano, totally a heel. Tommaso Ciampa, now he's a heel. So I'm thinking it's going to be Finn Balor. I don't know how much I would be willing to bet that, but if I had to place a bet, I'd go with Finn Balor. So let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Is it going to be Balor? Is it going to be Cole? Is it going to be, whatever it is? Who do you think should win? Who do you think will win? And we'll see what happens on Tuesday. Finally, SmackDown happened, and that also gave us 2 updates to the card for Payback, as well as some other things. We know that Dominic and Rey Mysterio are going to fight Seth Rollins and Murphy for the millionth time. Technically speaking, of course, this is only the second time that they've had this match, but they had that match earlier this week, so I'm just sick and tired of seeing rematches. And they've been fighting for weeks and weeks and weeks. So even though it wasn't technically a match, we've seen everybody in this capacity just fight over and over again. I have no real interest in this. And we also got the confirmation of Baron Corbin against Matt Riddle. No surprises there. But we also got some of the other things that were going on for this episode. Adam Pearce started off the episode with Vince McMahon. Thought this was kind of funny. Vince is telling Adam Pearce, you better go find the signatures of all 3 of the people for the match at Payback. And hey, tell Huskus the Pig Boy, that I said, hey, I'm a big fan of that guy, that kind of thing. So Jeff Hardy comes out, starts to show off with an Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. And AJ Styles claims that Hardy only won the match last week for the title because he cheated when he used the knee brace. He's got a little bit of a point here. Of course, AJ tried to cheat earlier than that, but he's a heel. He's supposed to be doing this kind of stuff. So Jeff Hardy does the open challenge. He says it's for everybody except for AJ Styles, who isn't supposed to be cleared to compete anyway. And Shinsuke Nakamura answers the challenge. Now, when he does, they have Cesaro in a little talking head thing, talking about how he's upset with Shinsuke because he went to go get some champagne and to celebrate, and Shinsuke, in the meantime, took an opportunity to win the Intercontinental title. And to Cesaro, that's kind of like, hey, you're not focusing on the team. What the hell? Maybe I wanted to do that kind of thing. So teasing a little bit of dissension between them. That's kind of interesting. Hardy wins, retains by pinfall, and then Sami Zayn returns. And he's holding his old Intercontinental Championship. He never lost that belt in his mind. So he considers both AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy to be frauds. He nails Jeff Hardy with a haluva kick. Later on, he talks to Kayla Braxton, and he's like, yeah, I don't have to explain myself to you and whatever, and I'm going to, right these wrongs, and so on and so forth. Further still, Cesaro and Nakamura are backstage, and they're kind of having an argument when Sami Zayn pops up and he's like, hey, buddies, the artist collective is back. And Shinsuke says, you haven't talked to us for 4 months, not even a phone call. And Cesaro tells Sami Zayn, okay, well, this is a private conversation. You need to leave. So no more artist collective, it seems. And maybe soon enough, no more Shinsuke and Cesaro. Kind of interesting. Of course, it didn't help him out later on when it comes to the Lucha House Party, because the Lucha House Party still weren't able to beat them. Cesaro beat Kalisto later on in the night because Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado were fighting with Shinsuke Nakamura, and that caused a little bit of distraction. And the Lucha House Party are still fighting. So the two main tag teams going on right now are in fighting. One of the other main tag teams, the Usos, is not in commission. One of the other main tag teams, the Forgotten Sons, is just being held off. And another main tag team, the New Day, is a single star right now, and the other two are not there. One of the other tag teams is Heavy Machinery, where one guy's holding the Money in the Bank briefcase for seemingly no reason. And then there's The Miz and John Morrison. So we really have a weird tag team setup here for SmackDown. We had some funny things with Postman Pierce. Adam Pierce went to the Firefly Funhouse to get the signature from Bray Wyatt. A little bit later on, he was backstage and Drew Gulak smacked Braun Strowman with a steel chair, and Braun Strowman just completely no-sold it. I thought that was funny. Drew Gulak tossed the chair over to Adam Pierce to try to blame it on him, and didn't work out all that well for him because Gulak got squashed by Braun Strowman. Later on, we also had a whole thing with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and Tamina. Tamina was there asking Nikki Cross what has been going on with Alexa, and Nikki's got the mug that Alexa had given her, the first gift that she ever got her, kind of a thing. And Alexa comes over, says she's doing better than ever, but she's got pigtails. And Nikki Cross points out the hair kind of seems a little reminiscent of Bray Wyatt, and that just sets Alexa Bliss off. She goes kind of nuts, lashes out at her, smashes the mug. I don't know if it's a heel turn or if it's just more of that whole people get messed up when they start dealing with the Fiend, the Wyatt, and I'm interested. You know, I really hope that they kind of have some kind of a game plan to make this a true story and not that they're just doing it week by week. But I'm interested. Let's go with the Big E stuff. Big E was supposed to be part of Miz TV, and they did a thing where Big E was like, I don't want to be a part of that. So this led to some funny stuff. Big E and Heavy Machinery and Sheamus and The Miz and John Morrison were going to have a match. And later on backstage, they had this whole confrontation between all of them where Sasha Banks and Bayley were there. And Sasha said to Big E that some people can only handle being the tag team champion. Nice little dig at Sasha. Later on, they did a promo, Bayley and Sasha Banks, just blah, blah, blah. Bayley says it's her fault that Asuka had beaten her because she never should have given her the motivation, essentially, to challenge Asuka. You know, you never should have let you fight Asuka because that wasn't going to work out all that well. And the reason why is because she meaning Banks, was clearly upset that there's Bayley dose straps and she needed to be two belts Banks to kind of match up to her and everything. And so I liked these types of digs. These are the types of things that I wish that they would have done a lot sooner. You know, that's the thing, is it's just 2+ years of this kind of stuff. And if you don't do these things, then it sucks until you start doing them. They kind of wasted more time with the Jax and Shayna Baszler thing on the Titantron, but it was kind of funny for Jax and Baszler to say, hey, we freaking hate each other, but we don't like you guys either. So it was a little fun. But more fun than anything was backstage. They had Sheamus go up to John Morrison and The Miz, and he asks them, so what's your game plan? And Morrison's game plan is, well, Big E is the powerhouse of that trio, so we can't have him get in the ring. Sheamus is like, all right, cool. And then he goes, well, and Tucker's a strong dude, so we can't let him tag in. Okay, and Otis, man, he's a wild card. We just cannot let him wrestle us. So the game plan was, let's not have any of them fight us. And I thought that was a great little segment. That was one of my favorite parts of this whole episode. Got the Matt Riddle stuff, talked about that a little bit here and there. Anything else I need to really talk about other than the main thing? I don't think so. Let me just double check and see if I'm missing anything here. We got the Nakamura stuff. We got that stuff. Yeah. So the other thing was that the last signature that Adam Pearce needed was Roman Reigns. And the big reveal to end off the night, Roman Reigns has Paul Heyman in his corner. So, wow, that's something that I did not anticipate coming. I'm very interested, and I'm very scared. Very scared in the sense that I do not, under any, any circumstances want Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the next however many months and or at WrestleMania 37. I do not want those two touching each other anytime soon. They have had what feels like 100 matches over the course of 1,000 years. But if they don't make that mistake, then the pure idea of Paul Heyman being with Roman Reigns is very, very exciting. That's so cool. It could give him so much more edge. It could be a heel turn, might not necessarily have to be, but it could be. And that would be a lot of fun. As long as they've got plans and we've got something in mind that we can build towards. And the plan isn't, we'll figure it out, of course. It has to be like an actual plan. Like, when they did the Mega Powers and they split the Hulk Hogan and Macho Man team, the game plan was to have the two of them fight at WrestleMania the next year, like that whole thing. That's a plan. When they do the whole, we'll have Apollo Crews against MVP, and then it didn't happen, so let's do it, and then do it again, and then do it again, and again, and again. That stuff, that's not a plan. Same as the Rey Mysterio angle. Like, this hasn't been a plan. It's just been, here's a feud, let's do things, we'll figure it out. Retribution has not been a plan. So, maybe Retribution's part of Roman. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I'm starting to think now that they put that whole Paul Heyman thing out there, Roman Reigns probably does win that championship. And if they don't have him win, it's got to be a part of the Retribution thing. But then again, that's kind of making him more firm of a babyface and all that. So, I mean, right now I got to change my updated Payback thing. I'm going to have to change that all over the place and say that Roman Reigns probably wins. It wouldn't shock me if he didn't in some capacities and if Bray Wyatt retained it just to kind of keep that feud going. But that Paul Heyman thing, that throws a real big knot in there. So ultimately, we're going to find out on Sunday. And per usual here, the pay-per-view is going to go on. I'm going to have the live coverage on smarkatmoment.com. Afterward, we're going to do our pay-per-view point post-show. We're going to recap everything that happened, give our review and our thoughts on everything, and then try to look forward into the future of what might happen after that, to heading towards, Clash of Champions and so on and so forth. So stay tuned and hit up all those things I mentioned before, the Patreon, the merch shops, the applause and join thing on YouTube, subscribe, check out the Fanboys Anonymous stuff. Just stay tuned to everything that's coming your way under a mango tree. Follow me at Tony Mango. Follow all the usual guys on all their stuff. And we will see you next time, everybody. This has been another Smart Cat moment, and I'm being counted out.